What's happening that's different in terms of national TV buying, if there is, in terms of data, ad units, platforms? Like, what's kind of going on, and what's changing, and what might be the shape of the year to come around the
Well,
upfront?
I think you hit it right on the head there by saying data and the infusion of it into the transaction. There's no doubt that just about every TV-based media owner is beginning to put more and more effort behind that and offering solutions that really reflect the modernization of that particular area of the media business. So I think that the future is pretty rich for television if we can sort of harness the size and scale of it, but make it more exact through the use of better consumer data.
So tell us sort of what sort of the weak points. I know SVOD is like huge.
Yes.
Over the top is really getting big. But what are the problems there from your perspective as a media buyer?
Well, I think the main problem is sort of the fragmentation that comes along with these. There's no doubt about it that people want the convenience of programming, where and when they choose, and that's great. And I'm in favor of that as long as we can commercialize it in some way. But really, it becomes just sort of disintermediating the normal sort of buyer-seller relationship that we've got. We still have commercialization at the point of content origination with the major studios inserting ads and then using that as the sort of commerce that exists in television. Once you begin to sort of modernize that and take that out, then you're dealing with the sort of the distribution platforms in terms of commercialization, and that becomes more complex and, as I said, fragmented.
So tell us a little bit about ad load, ad units. We've been speaking to the folks at Turner and others about dealing with what consumers want, what they don't want, and corresponding. What are your thoughts about ad load and even these new 2-minute long form ads and so forth?
Look, I mean, commercial clutter has been an issue since really the beginning of television in some ways. This is not a new phenomenon. I think the point now is that the consumer experience is so decluttered in some ways in terms of quality video that folks can watch in an SVOD format or just online video that's just less commercialized versus what's happened with many of the major ad-supported cable networks, for instance. And Turner is an example of that. I give them credit, though, for trying to address this head-on and decommercialize at least one of their networks in a major way to see if that's going to improve viewership. I mean, obviously, there's a return path there that says, well, if you lower the commercialization of programming, you better have some quality programming that people are going to be interested in watching more of. But let's face it, if they build ratings by lowering commercial load, then they've got more GRPs to sell. So their view, I guess it's a practical business model to try and do that. Now the branded experience where they're building longer form sort of brand messaging that's either integrated into the programming or looks a lot like the programming that just ran there, that's great, and we've taken advantage of that, but it's not for everyone. It's really for clients, advertisers that have a certain specific message that ties in very well with the programming content that exists there. When you've got that and you can make that work, it's sort of lightning in a bottle, and it's a wonderful execution to take advantage of. But I don't think it's a large-scale business that just about everybody can be involved in.
Speaking of another business that's maybe nascent or small is addressable household specific, and there's a lot of talk about that, and the direct AT&T thing we've heard about, of course. A lot of focus around household and other cable operators that are expected to come online this year with addressability, but it's limited. But how do you see it, and what could be the roadmap there?
Well, as you get these distribution platforms to be bigger and of greater scale, that can then precisely target households, and you're covering most of the U.S., it becomes a bigger idea. The problem we've had in the past is that so many of these addressable opportunities in television are sort of system by system, region by region. By the time you piece together the opportunity for a national advertiser, you're dealing with costs that could be 2, 3, 4 times the original price of just running an ad that isn't addressable. Be that as it may, one of the other things that I'm pretty excited about in that space is the versioning of commercials within the national commercial position. In other words, being able to sort of do the distribution based on what we might know about specific households within the national commercial unit. So basically having the opportunity to direct advertising not on a local basis, but on a national basis that's more relevant to a particular home. We're just beginning to experiment with one company that's involved in that. Sort of like a rethinking of the whole Canoe idea.
Great. And that's using existing creative?
Yeah, well, that would be using existing creative or 10 versions of a particular brand advertisement that has just different meaning to different individuals. But really, it would be in that one commercial position that the advertiser owned with a particular national network.